Chapter 1: Introduction and Strategy. If you're listening to this, you're probably staring down D080 right now and feeling like there's a mountain of content with no clear path through it. 6 units. A pre-assessment that just tells you to review more, and somewhere in there, an OA you're supposed to pass. Here's the deal. I'm gonna give you the full crash course in one session. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what's on the OA, which units actually matter, the frameworks, theories, and acronyms that show up over and over, and a 7-day plan to get from cold start to passing the test. Let's go. Quick context. D080 is managing in a global business environment. It's a general business course required across a lot of WGU programs. IT, business, marketing, you name it. Course type: multiple choice OA. No project, no PA required to pass first. About 70 questions. No real-time pressure. The good news: there's no paper, no project, no presentation. It's a single objective assessment, multiple choice, and once you pass it, you're done. The bad news: the content covers everything from international trade theory to corporate ethics to expatriate management. It's wide. There are 6 units total. 1. Course Intro. 2. Globalization, Political and Economic Systems. 3. Legal and Ethical Considerations. 4. Trade, Foreign Investment, and Entry Strategies. 5. Global Operations. 6. Cross-Cultural Management and HR. But here's what nobody tells you up front. Roughly 70% of your OA points come from Units 2 and 4. That's Globalization Fundamentals and Trade Strategies. If you know those 2 cold, you're gonna pass even if you're shaky on the rest. So, that's how this is structured. We're gonna go deep on 2 and 4, hit the essentials of 3, 5, and 6, and skip the fluff. Chapter 2: Globalization Fundamentals. Unit 2 is foundational. You can't answer a single question in the rest of the course if you don't understand what globalization actually means in business terms. What is globalization? The textbook definition you need to know. Globalization is the growing global economic, cultural, and political integration of nations through the worldwide spread of products, technology, information, and labor. In plain English, it's the process by which the world has become more connected. Goods cross borders. Money moves between countries. People migrate for work, and ideas spread instantly. There are 4 fundamental aspects of globalization that the OA loves to ask about. Memorize these. 1. Trade and transactions. Goods and services across borders. 2. Capital and. If you see a question asking which of the following is a fundamental aspect of globalization, it's going to be one of those 4. Globalization also breaks down into 3 types. The OA tests these as definition-matching questions. Economic globalization, the international movement of goods, capital, and services. Cultural globalization, the spread of ideas, values, and lifestyles. Political globalization, international cooperation, treaties, intergovernmental organizations. Quick OA tip: if you see international movement of goods, capital, and services, that's economic globalization. Word for word. Why does globalization happen? 4 drivers. Remember them as MCCG: market. Companies see needs and wants in foreign markets. Cost. producing in cheaper countries. Competition, pressure to expand into new markets. Government, favorable trade policies. That's it. Market, cost, competition, government. L for legal. The trick: don't confuse PESTEL with cage. Cage is barriers. PESTEL is the broader environment. If the question talks about analyzing market conditions before entering a country, that's PESTEL. Now, let's cover political, economic, and legal systems. The OA loves matching countries and scenarios to system types. Political systems. Democracy. Citizens elect representatives. Totalitarianism. One party controls everything. Theocracy. Religious leaders rule. Anarchism. No formal government. Economic systems. Market economy. Private ownership. Supply and demand drive prices. Command economy. Government controls production and prices. Mixed economy. Combination of both. Most countries are this. Legal systems. Common law. Based on precedent and tradition. US, UK. Civil law. Based on codified statutes. Most of Europe, Latin America. Religious law. Based on religious teachings. Sharia, for example. Customary law. Common law equals case law. Civil law equals code law. Now, country performance indicators. You need to know what these acronyms measure. GDP, total goods and services produced in a country. GNI, GDP plus income earned abroad. PPP. Purchasing power parity, adjusts for cost of living. HDI, Human Development Index, life expectancy plus education plus income. Gini coefficient, measures income inequality. 0 is perfect equality. 1 is maximum inequality. Happy Planet Index, well-being plus life expectancy plus ecological footprint. The two that show up the most, Gini for inequality and HDI for development. Lock those in. Chapter 4. Legal and Ethical Considerations. Unit 3 is medium weight on the OA, but it's quick to learn. The big 4 ethical theories you should recognize. Utilitarianism, greatest good for the greatest number. Rights theory, protect fundamental human rights. Justice theory, fairness and distribution. Cultural relativism, ethics vary by culture. This one's controversial in business. It's basically the when in Rome excuse. Corporate social responsibility, also known as Carroll's pyramid. CSR has 4 levels, bottom to top. 1. Economic, be profitable. 2. Legal, obey the law. 3. Ethical, do what's right. 4. Philanthropic, be a good corporate citizen. OA trap, CSR is voluntary. Doing what the law requires isn't CSR. That's just compliance. CSR is when you go above and beyond. Intellectual property. 4 types. Patents protect inventions. Trademarks protect brand identity. Copyrights protect creative works. Trade secrets protect confidential business info. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, or FCPA. This is a U.S. law that prohibits bribing foreign government officials. The one nuance: small facilitation payments to expedite routine government action are narrowly allowed, but anything that influences a decision, that's a bribe and it's illegal. Dumping is when a foreign company sells goods at or below cost in your market to drive out domestic competition. Anti-dumping laws prevent that. Even if the U.S. could technically produce both cars and bananas more efficiently than Costa Rica, it should focus on cars and let Costa Rica handle bananas, because the opportunity cost of U.S. workers making bananas is way higher than them making cars. If the OA gives you a scenario about specialization based on relative efficiency, that's comparative advantage. 4. Heckscher-Owen, also called factor proportions theory. Countries export goods that use their abundant factors of production. China has lots of labor, so it exports labor-intensive goods. Saudi Arabia has lots of oil, so it exports oil. 5. Product life cycle theory from Vernon. Products move through stages: new, mature, standardized. As they standardize, production shifts to lower-cost countries. iPhones are designed in California. Multinational corporations gain advantage through R&D, intellectual property, economies of scale, and being first to market. 7. Porter's diamond, or national competitive advantage. Porter says national competitive advantage rests on 4 pillars: factor conditions, demand conditions, related and supporting industries, firm strategy, and rivalry. Chapter 6. Trade barriers and foreign direct investment. Now, trade barriers. You need to know the types because the OA tests them by definition. Tariffs are taxes on imports. 4 types. Protective tariff. Quota, limit on quantity imported. Embargo, total ban on trade. Subsidy, government payment to domestic producer. Local content requirement. Percentage that must be made domestically. Voluntary export restraint. Exporting country agrees to limit exports. Critical OA fact: when tariffs and quotas are removed, consumer surplus increases because prices drop and people can buy more for less. This is on the OA. Lock it in. Now, foreign direct investment, or FDI. This one trips a lot of people up. Foreign direct investment is when an investor starts or acquires a business in a foreign country. It is not, and the OA loves to test this, buying foreign stocks. That's portfolio investment. Different thing. If a U.S. company opens a factory in Vietnam, that's FDI. If you buy stock in Toyota, that's portfolio. Don't confuse them. 2 flavors. Greenfield investment. Build new operations from scratch. Brownfield investment. Acquire existing facilities. You hire a foreign company to make your products. OA trap. A common question is, which is not an advantage of contract manufacturing? The answer is almost always PR advantages, because contract manufacturing actually creates PR risk. Think sweatshop scandals. Turnkey project. You build a facility, train the staff, hand it over fully operational. Common in oil and infrastructure. Joint venture, shared ownership with a local partner. Higher commitment, shared risk. Wholly owned subsidiary. Full ownership and full control. Highest risk, highest commitment, highest reward. The pattern: as you move from exporting to wholly owned subsidiary, you trade low risk for more control. When a company goes global, it has to choose its strategy. Standardization, same product, same methods everywhere. Coca-Cola tastes the same in 200 countries. Gets you economies of scale. Adaptation, customize per market. McDonald's serves rice burgers in Asia, Maharaja Max in India. Globalization, middle path, think global, act local. Standardize the core, adapt the details. Chapter 8. Regional Integration and Trade Organizations. There are 5 levels of regional integration. They build on each other. 1. Free trade area. No internal tariffs. Example, USMCA. 2. Customs Union. Adds a common external tariff. 3. Common Market. Adds free movement of labor and capital. 4. Economic Union. Adds harmonized economic policies. The EU is the big example. 5. Political Union. Full integration. Trade blocks to know. Just memorize what region each one is. USMCA. US. Mexico, Canada. Replaced NAFTA. EU, European Union. ASEAN. Southeast Asia. CAFTA-DOCER. Central America plus Dominican Republic, Mercosur. South America. APEC. Asia-Pacific, CARICOM. Caribbean, GCC. Gulf States. AC. African continent. One trivia fact that always shows up. In the United States, treaties require Senate approval with a 2/3 vote. Free trade agreements require approval from both houses of Congress. Different process. The OA loves this one. Memorize it. World Trade Organization settles trade disputes and promotes free trade globally. IMF. International Monetary Fund provides financial stability and balance of payments support. World Bank funds development projects in developing countries. United Nations coordinates international political and humanitarian efforts. Chapter 9. Global Operations. Unit 5 is shorter, mostly about supply chain decisions, outsourcing, having an outside company perform a function, offshoring, moving operations to another country, reshoring, bringing operations back home, nearshoring, moving to a nearby country, ES to Mexico, for example. The 4 risks of global operations: political risk, instability, expropriation, economic risk, exchange rates, inflation, legal risk, IP theft, contract issues, operational risk, supply chain disruption, exchange rate systems. Quick rundown. Floating. Fluctuates with supply and demand. Fixed. Pegged to another currency, doesn't move. Pegged exchange rate. Combination of fixed and floating. Crawling peg, gradual adjustment over time. Crawling bands. Currency floats with in a defined range. Pegged with horizontal bands. Currency fluctuates within a band greater than 1% of value. Spot rate. An agreed upon exchange rate for a future transaction used for hedging. And one weird term that sometimes shows up, fronting loan. It's a loan from a parent company to a subsidiary, but routed through a bank in the middle, used for tax or political reasons. Just recognize the term. Polychronic cultures, like Latin America and the Middle East, comfortable with multiple simultaneous tasks. HR staffing strategies, know all 4. This is heavily tested. Ethnocentric, fill key positions abroad with home country nationals. US company sends Americans to run the UK office. Polycentric, let host country nationals run subsidiaries. UK office run by Brits. Geocentric, best person regardless of nationality. Whole world view. Regiocentric, staff within a region. All of Europe, for example. OA trap. If a question says whole world view or best person regardless of location, The answer is geocentric. Always. An expatriate is an employee working in a country other than their home country. The OA will ask you how to prepare an expatriate for a foreign assignment. The answer is cultural training, not operational training, not negotiation. Cultural training. This question shows up almost every test. Don't lose this point. Repatriation is the process of returning expatriates to their home country. They buried the actual ask in the second to last sentence. 2. Eliminate 2 answers fast. 2 distractors are usually obviously wrong. Get rid of them and pick between the remaining 2. 3. Watch for not, except, least. These flip the question. Underline them mentally. 4. The answer that sounds like the textbook is usually right. If 2 answers are close, but one uses textbook language, that's the one. 5. Flag and move on. Never spend more than 5 minutes on one question. Come back at the end and take the pre-assessment seriously. If you score 75% or above, you're ready. Schedule the OA. That's it. That's the whole course in 40 minutes. If this helped, drop a like. It genuinely helps the channel get in front of other WGU students grinding through the same coursework. Good luck on the OA. You got this.